My longtime friend only invited my fiancé to their wedding and excluded me from the party, so I'll wait for their reaction when they learn that they are not invited to mine. I have known this guy, Roger, for 6 years now. He and I were put into a musical ensemble together during our first year of college and we stayed in it for 4 years. This group is also where I met my boyfriend and where my boyfriend met Roger. There were a couple of other guys in the group, and we all were and have remained pretty good friends, especially since the other 4, including my boyfriend, are in a band together. They continued after college. I wasn't excluded from this group, I just really wasn't interested in the time commitment, so I declined to join when they started out. They have actually become pretty well known in our local scene. They're a really talented group. Anyways, onto the current situation. Roger has been with his fiancée since before I met him, and when she came to the same school we were in, all the rest of us in the group became pretty friendly with her. I wouldn't really consider her a friend. We have no beef as far as I'm aware. We just aren't really close and we only really talk at shows. I do like her though, and we always make a point of saying hi to each other when we see each other and have a friendly chat. So my boyfriend and I have known these guys literally the same amount of time. We spent all of college with Roger, seeing each other at least twice a week for this group, although it was usually much more, and we still hang out with them sometimes outside of the band scene. Roger is getting married to his fiancée this summer. Of course, I wish them both congratulations when I heard the news of their engagement. A couple of months ago, we got the save the date card in the mail. It was addressed to only my boyfriend, which I thought was a bit odd, but it was only the save the date card, so I didn't really think much of it. Put it on the fridge. Well, last week, the wedding invite came. It was again addressed to just my boyfriend. We opened it and there was no indication of even A+1 or anything. I really don't think I should be A+1 for my boyfriend. I feel I should be invited on my own merit. My boyfriend said they maybe just addressed it to him because we live together, but that's exactly my point. We live together, so if it's for both of us it should be addressed to both of us, otherwise I assume mail addressed to him is his. I'm honestly incredibly hurt by this. I guess it's fine if they don't really see us as friends, but I still feel like the fact that they know my boyfriend and I both live here and they know I'm expecting to be invited, seeing as everyone else from this old group makes this feel like a real punch in the gut. Am I supposed to go to this wedding or not? Update 1. For some reason, my fiancé keeps asking me if I'm going. Apparently, he asked the groom and he was told verbally that I was invited, but given the fact that my name was not on the invitation, nor was it on the save the date we received earlier, I really can't just go off of that as enough evidence that I am welcome there. I really believe that if I was invited, after my fiancé asked why my name wasn't on the invitation, one of them should have reached out directly to me if they actually were expecting me to show up. But they haven't, and for some reason, my fiancé believes they're expecting me to be there, and he keeps saying he doesn't want to have to explain to people why I'm not there. And I keep telling him there isn't anything to explain. I wasn't invited. But here's where I'm conflicted. I truly do not want to start drama surrounding their wedding. I respect their decision not to invite me if that's how they want their day to be. I don't think anyone should ever have to invite somebody to their wedding that they don't want to. But I also am fully aware that there are going to be several people there who are close to my fiancé and I as a couple who are going to wonder why I am not there. And it may cause a fuss if anyone asks the bride and groom directly, which I realize may come off as main character syndrome. I don't really think people will be that concerned about where I am but my fiancé and go everywhere together, so my absence will definitely be noticed by our friends, and some of them aren't good at knowing when to just let things be. And so I genuinely have no idea what to do here. Also, there is one detail I couldn't quite figure out where to fit in here, but when we initially received the invitation, the second envelope for their wedding addressed to just my fiancé, I talked to a friend of mine about it who vaguely knows who the couple is because I wanted to ask someone who wouldn't bring it up to them if I was overreacting, and she ended up telling me last month that she found out a different friend of hers who was really good friends with the bride all through school and thought they still were friends was also not invited. I don't know if that makes much a difference in the overall take of the situation, but it does seem relevant. Update 2. I'm very glad I didn't go. My fiancé was quite unhappy when he came home from the wedding and told me I was onto something. Turns out I was not the only partner that was missing, but my fiancé is still a bit confused by the whole thing because it struck him as really weird who didn't have their partners there. Plenty of people did ask about me and where I was. My fiancé just kind of generically told them I couldn't make it. But the bride and groom did not ask about me, though the groom came up to my fiancé and said something about, "Can't wait for your wedding," which is what made him realize I was right about the whole thing. None of the bridal party, many of whom we know well, asked about me, which also stood out to him considering how many of the guests did. One thing that strikes me as odd is that my fiancé confirmed there was no designated seat for me, but there were a lot of empty seats. This leads me to wonder if they knew how entirely confusing and weird this was and were preparing for people's spouses who weren't invited to show up and play it off by having a seat available. I don't know. That's pretty much it. The whole thing honestly feels even more confusing after the wedding, but I do at least think it's pretty clear that I was right and made the right decision in not going. No real drama happened, and I'm not gonna really bother to try and find out more from them or from anyone else, but it is disappointing, to say the least. My fiancé is pretty disappointed too to find how little these friends respect not just me as a person, but me as his partner. But that's just how it goes sometimes, I guess. I really just wish they had been direct, even if the reason they gave was a lie, that I wasn't invited. I would have understood if they said it was a matter of numbers, but the way they went about this just seems so pathetic and cowardly to me. But it appears as if we weren't the only long-term couple they did this to, so I think it says a lot more about them than it does about me.